Hello everyone. Today's project is called Rainbow Stars. And if you look over here on the right side, this is a screen capture. I have 4 different stars here, and we're going to create those. Those are 4 different sprites, and then they're going to draw lines between them. And they're all going to be moving. All 4 of these stars are going to be moving randomly, and lines are going to be drawing between them as they're moving. It's very cool. All right, so step 1 is to go to the website, create, delete the cat, and close tutorials. That line we do a lot here because we're creating our own. We're going to add the stars backdrop. That gives it this nice black with a few white dots in the background. So those are stars. Then we're going to create our first red star. So we're going to go in and paint that. So we're going to create a sprite by painting it. And if you notice here, I took and I painted one, and that's kind of what it looks like. It's just a red blob, but it should be in the center a little bit more. And I'll show you how we can fix that when we get into Scratch. So with that first red star, we're going to create this code. So what the code does is when we click the green flag, we're going to have the star point in any direction between -180 and 180. That's a full 360 degrees. So that's why we use those 2 numbers. So it'll randomly go between those, and it's going to start moving. And then it's going to keep moving forever, and it's going to bounce when it gets and hits the edge. So it's just going to fly across the screen and move around. Then what we're going to do is create and paint 3 more sprites. So here's an example of the 3 that I did, and I just drew them. They're very small. If I go back up here, you can kind of see what they look like. That one and this one over here. Here's like an oval over here. They're just shapes is all I did. Made them small so that they fly around the screen. All right, so now we would have 4 sprites, but only one of them has this code. So we want to copy this code to all of these other sprites. So this code is going to go to the other 3. And the easy way to do that is to drag the code from the red star over to the other sprites. And I'll show that to you. Basically, you're just going to take this top block here, and you're just going to drag it on top of these other sprites. It works pretty well. A little bit tricky with the mouse, but it works. All right, then we're going to add more blocks. We're going to add the pen extension so that we get the pen blocks, which are these green ones down here, because that's what's used to draw. You use a pen to draw. Well, we got to add the pen blocks. So to do that, we're going to actually create another sprite, and I chose the basketball here, or the baseball, I guess it is. And this is the code that's going to belong to this baseball. And this is the code that actually will, if you look over here on the right side, it's going to drop the pen, change the pen size, and then it's going to draw a line to sprite number 1. Then it's going to go, so it's going to draw to sprite number 2, draw to number 3, draw to number 4. It's going to change the color and then start over and go back to number 1. So it's this big loop that we're building, and it's going to draw a line to each of these sprites and change the color between them. So it's a fun thing to do, and you can change these numbers, like changing the pen color here. Maybe change that to a 1 or a 50, some other number, smaller, larger, and even the pen size. 1 is the smallest, so you can play around with that. Over here on the left set of code, this is what actually will erase the whole screen every 10 seconds so that it starts over again. And you can play with that as well. So let's see how this looks in Scratch. So I have Scratch open. with the program for the rainbow stars. And over here on the right side, you can see my background is stars, and that's over here. That's the backdrop. And here's the red star that I created first. And then this is the program. This is the code that I programmed for the red star, just like we saw in the document. Well, let's take a look at the paint feature. So I'm going to select this sprite and go and select costumes over here. And this is the paint feature for this costume. I made it red when I drew it. It defaults to purple, by the way. So I think every time you open this up, if I select it, then it goes to the right color. So with the selection block highlighted, when I click on this, I want you to see this area right there. That is the middle of my workspace. And it's got a little circle there. Here, let me slide this over. See how it goes a little bit thicker? And now it's in front. So you could center your little star here. Now, if you don't like that star, it almost looks like an asteroid to me. What's fun with this paint feature is there's a thing here called reshape. So with that block highlighted, I reshape it, and these are all those little curves. So I can make this look very different. I can even put my own little circle. So right here, I'm going to click, and I can kind of make this, and it shows up like that. So this thing is a lot of fun to play around with. So if I go back to select, make sure I'm in the center. That way the lines that are going to be drawn are actually going to come right from that center point. And these other sprites are all drawn just like I did before. You can have fun with these too. You know, make it a spaceship if you want. In fact, I might try to do something like that. Maybe I'll make this. So there's, there's a lot of fun things that you can do like this. And so there it is. That's going to look cool. All right, let's go back to code. So this is the code. Now let's take a look at sprite number 4 here. And I'm going to delete that code. So I'm going to drag it away. So what I wanted to do in the instructions, it mentioned to copy this code to another sprite. Well, sprite number 4 has no program. Sprite number 1, I'm going to copy. Now, when I drag this over, I want you to look carefully at how this sprite looks. It's going to shake a little bit. Then you know. And always grab the top here, because that's the list of blocks that you're going to do. Now, I'm going to start bringing this over. Okay, you can see they all highlighted. See how that one shakes? No, that one. See how that one shakes a little bit right there? That means if I let go. So here's the red sprite. There's its code. If I go to sprite number 4, there's the code that I just copied. So I dragged it from one sprite to another. So if you don't want 4 stars, you wanted 5 or 6, just create a new sprite here, paint a new sprite, and come up with something that you like, and then come back to the code and grab one of these and add it to that. So now when you hit the green flag, this is what's happening. The reason these lines, let me stop this for a sec. The reason this is all happening is because of the code that's in this basketball. This is the code that I want you to create for that extra sprite, and it's in the program. The first one is to erase everything after 10 seconds. The second set of blocks here is to actually draw the lines between the 4 sprites. I have a 5th sprite here. So let's go to, here's the go-to block. I'll put it there. And I'm going to select sprite number 5, which is the big green rectangle here. So let me start off. It gets a little noisy. In 10 seconds, it's going to erase. So let's just watch that. Oh, there we go. And boy, it's really hard to see this, but the green rectangle, sprite number 5, has a line coming off of it. One thing that's kind of interesting, let me show this to you. you're going to add the pen extension. And that was down over here in extensions. You click on the pen, and that's how you get these. And one of them is called Erase All. Now watch this. You can actually execute a block by clicking on it. When I hit Erase All, everything erases from the pen. So that's one way to kind of test it out. That's kind of fun. Alrighty, this is a pretty interesting program because you can play with these numbers here. You can make the pen size 11. Oh boy, you can see it's bigger. So you can have fun with this, and you can make this large and enjoy it. Alrighty, have fun with this program. See you later.